Hold on. Let me see. Oh, look. I think she came back. Hey, y'all. What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your girl. It's your girl. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. That's her. Hey, girl. Can you hear me, girl?
Hi.
Hey, friend.
Hey.
Hey, what you
How you
doing?
doing?
I'm doing
Oh,
good. I'm just sitting in my room with the ceiling fan up. I was just talking about, how as a small business we go out and we seek funding. And me myself, I've pitched my farm to, people, and it hasn't always gone the best of ways. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was talking about before I saw your beautiful face down there.
yeah.
So y'all, this
Happy to
is
be in the
Deydra
building with
Steans.
you.
Hey y'all, this is my friend cattle rancher Deydra Steans. And if y'all don't remember, this is who Gilbert Arenas talked about. He was like, "Oh, she hooked me up with a cattle rancher, and we talked about getting the cows and working with it." This is her. Hey girl. And look, Gil, listen, Gil out us. Yep, he do. He do, cause we was out here putting him on game.
You already know it. No, that was the funniest because Gil is like a man of his word. He showed
Yep,
he showed
yep.
our whole cow.
Oh my God. I was not ready, right? Because I didn't even I was just linking him in. He was like, do you know anybody that has cows? Do you have cows? I was like, I don't have cows, but I got a homegirl. She got a whole cattle ranch, you know what I'm saying? She got cows. And he was like, okay. And so I was not expecting that. So you went in, girl.
Fast forward, what, like eight months? How
Yep.
old is Zella? 8 months?
Oh man, Zella is about 19 months now. We got her.
Oh,
She was 5 months. So that
okay.
was a year ago. So, but she's about 17, 18 months now.
So the whole phase two part of this beautiful story is that we've got to come up with a way to get Zella on a trailer so she can come live on the ranch with other cows and goats and stuff.
Yep. She is so hood.
We have to video this. It's got
Yes.
to be some
We're
wicked.
going to record it. We're going to record Zella getting out there to the ranch and meeting other cows, because my baby is we put that brick wall in, so she just hang out next to the brick wall. I feel like, ah.
We're gonna, yeah, we definitely gonna change her life.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, so you were talking about the funding,
Mhm.
how hard it is for us to get funding. Um, and the interesting thing about that is the program that I'm working on right now. And you know, I wanted to be able to talk to you and your audience about that for sure. Um, just because, in addition to like a lot of corporate responses, with like DEI and that whole movement, um, the USDA and Congress, they've been paying attention to a lot of the things that we have been making claims about,
Right.
sharing about our experiences out here. So, this particular program, that discrimination financial assistance program, is not a Joe Biden program. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris didn't do it for us. It
Right.
was Congress. And the cool thing about that is that we have congressional offices all across all of our states, all 50 states. So it's like they're the people who actually had this $2.2 billion set aside and allocated to pay to compensate people, landowners, ag producers who have experienced discrimination in the course of seeking out a loan, you know,
Right.
loan financial assistance from them. So, one of the things I'm quick to tell people, like, it's not a lawsuit. It's not the result of a lawsuit. This is not Pigford. But if you participated in Pigford or in the Keep Siegel lawsuits involving the First Nations people, or if you participated in the Garcia lawsuits involving people of color, um, Latinos, and Mexican Americans in South Texas, if you participated in any of those, you're eligible to participate automatically in this program, whether you have documentation still or not. And I think that's really cool. So it's not a lawsuit, but if you participated in those lawsuits, you're eligible. It's also not a grant. It's not something that has to be repaid, but it's taxable.
Right.
And so in a lot of cases, that right there is like, ooh, that gets people's attention. So then
Right.
we get into the part, let's talk about how else you qualify. If you applied for a loan with the USDA, like, any number of the loan types that they have, if you applied for the loan, you considered applying for the loan, or you tried to apply, but you experienced discrimination in the course of those things, um, and it caused you to be not successful, or maybe, and in some people's case they did get the loan, but they were over collateralized, or they had really really unfair repayment terms, or they were foreclosed on. uh,
Right.
so many ways you can qualify for the program, and it's like one of those things. It's like, if you're not sure, reach out. Like, let's talk about it. Like,
Let's talk about it.
yeah,
We
let's
want
talk
to talk
about it.
about, and that's one of the things that, like, right with us, with me, especially when we went to the FSA and we were trying to work that out, and we had everything happen to us,
Mm.
and being basically turned away, and we was Karen. I was like, I told you,
To
I
put
was
it
like,
lightly.
right, to put it lightly, but really strongly, I really felt like, she slung out the lasso and ripped us around the neck. Like, girls, what y'all talk about? Y'all in here doing too much. When she threw them glasses off, baby, I was done. So,
And me, I just kept on writing.
right, and I didn't,
It
and
was great. It was sit
for
right.
somebody like me who's going into the farm service agency, who's looking to even get started, and having to even, that's not even applying for the loans. That's just trying to get a farm service number so that a farm number so I can apply for the loan, so I can apply for
Mm-hmm.
conservation assistance, you know, and having that happen, that really kind of, it was traumatizing. It disgruntled me,
Very.
it really set me back, in the space. Um and it's just another road bump that I've had to overcome, in agriculture and moving forward. And I think that you do a really amazing job at pushing past those barriers for farmers like myself who have small farms, because we're only working with 1 acre, but you have over 100. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do you? I know that you face so much, because having that much land as a black farmer or as a black rancher, and just as a black woman, that can be, that's intimidating to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you handle those spaces where you have to stand up for not only your farm, but what trickles down from what you're able to produce to farms like mine?
Wow. Yeah. No, I think that's a really awesome question. You know, I was sharing with one of the administrators over the company I'm contracted with this morning. He's like, this kind of stuff will take a toll on you, and I'm saying, yeah, it will. I'm not new to this. Like, this isn't my first program to work on, but I'm glad that you and other people who are working on this are getting a chance to see it, because for me it has been, in some cases, like real hell, working as a black woman, as a single mother, in this space as an agriculture consultant in South Texas. um, the things that I've experienced just blatantly said to me or done to me. People just lying straight to my face, or in the instance that you and I experienced right there in the state capital of Austin, Texas, um, having the police called on us, which I feel is, it speaks to my point about life threatening work,
Right.
you know,
Life threatening work.
life threatening. This is really in the trenches in some cases out here. And yeah, that's just like the best example that I can give you exactly. And it happened to happen with you.
Right.
So, but ultimately, I just remember why I do this work. For me, this work was a calling because I've said multiple times, I've said, you know what, Dad, I'm not got this contract, and I don't need to be doing program work anymore. It's stressful. I was like, this is stressful. That's the first drop. But you know what? God is good, and He does not ever, ever, ever let me truly leave this work being a liaison and an advocate, and having a concierge style enrollment process for people who are engaging, people like us,
Right.
necessarily comfortable and are not welcomed in those offices, because I refuse to lose. It's not a part of my mission. Number one, not part of the work that I uh, was called to do. So as many times and as much as I say, yeah, I'm not gonna do program work anymore. I'm just gonna focus about, and then
Oh my God. How many times have I told you that?
it allows me to work with the people and to serve the people, and it keeps me grounded and connected, also with who I am, and again what my mission is, to make sure that we have equitable access in these programs
Right.
and beyond. So
Right. And working and looking for investors, you know what I'm saying? Getting those leads on investors. And Gil, we gonna keep plugging you because you need to go ahead and sign up. But being able to really find people who can see the vision and can understand what it means to have black food production, black agriculture, black ranchers and everything in the forefront, especially in our communities, because like I told you earlier, we completely lost 200 acres worth of organic produce, you know and that was in Bastrop. That was in Cedar Bend. So being able to reach out to where you are and bring that back into have that come back into Austin. We don't talk about that. We're not talking about that. They're not bringing that up here at City Council. They're not bringing that up here at the county level when it comes to farm talk and stuff like that. It's just not happening, and it's kind of scary, you know what I'm saying, when we talk about um feeding people and having those food deserts and stuff like that.
you have to invite me to a meeting.
Yeah,
I
I
want to
need to.
come to one of y'all's meetings just to hear and listen, not necessarily to open my big mouth and say anything, but
Yeah.
because it just gives perspective.
Yeah.
And I feel some type of way since I've been invited to be a part of this value chain coordination work group. And, there's so many conversations being had, but I feel like it's like with everything else. Like sometimes you get the same people in the same places, you get the same, on these
It's the
boards,
same.
just becomes redundant, and it doesn't allow for real creative expansion in our food systems because people want to politicize everything. So I think being present, showing people that there are other people out here that have interest in the value chain, and wear a couple different hats in the value chain, like yourself, you're an advocate and you're a producer and you're a consumer,
Right.
you know so we have, and I went through this leadership training last year with with a group, I don't know, they're all in like Canada and Costa Rica and different places, but they really helped me to understand the value of having our perspective, the perspective of a not just a woman, but a Black woman,
Right.
minority woman on these groups and on these councils, because the way that we see the world, the way that we see solutions is multifaceted, and it's not centered around the limitations of race, but it's very focused. We have the way that we conceptualize and visualize solutions to these problems, like solving hunger and malnutrition. So, I mean, to me, that's curing. That is healing. Right here, people in our communities.
Right.
Yep.
And we don't get the and I mean, when we have these conversations, they kind of look at us as if we get excited. I get excited. I'm just passionate. I'm just passionate being a veteran and then being a veteran farmer and hearing the call, because you always see the information like we're looking for veterans to become farmers, and you want to be able to do this, and then when you actually get into it and you start going through the processes, there's so much red tape. And I think one of the things that I told you was that outside of myself being a Black woman, um I'm a veteran. So it's like I'm Black, I'm a woman, but then I'm a veteran. And I think that it affects me more being a veteran and having such a hard time with being able to access funding, to expand and grow and scale my farm. And I think that people don't look at that. People don't look at the discrimination that veterans have to face. Because, when we were in the office and you were on the phone, he was under the assumption that I was a male, just because you were talking about a veteran and you just kept saying the veteran. And he was like, well, he. And I'm like, veteran doesn't just mean a man,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's really easy to just get kind of caught up, and it's really easy for people to just brush aside, female farmers, veterans, female farming veterans are new and beginning and kind of getting into the space and who need the support in agriculture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think with that, your purpose is your passion, and it's who we are. Um, and it reminds me of a conversation I had on, I think, Monday in Bastrop. They have a new museum over there that I want to talk about. But, just sitting there with that group of women and talking about agriculture and like the need to have spaces and how it's healing and therapeutic. But we also talked about veterans. We talked about women healing. And my thing was, well, in the same token, in the sense of women healing, this discrimination program has opened my eyes front and center to the fact that there are a lot of men and women who are out here who have been traumatized in recent years. We know they've been traumatized in the 40s and 50s and 60s, had things taken away from them unjustly. Um, but you think about that today when I'm taking these applications from people who are within our age group, or maybe 10, 15 years older than us, that have been really hurt just by trying to access something that is for them. And I was like, we can't forget to have healing spaces, safe spaces, for women in ag, men in ag, veterans in ag, because I think it's part of us taking care of each other. I think the
Right.
fellowship thing is why the outreach events that I do center around fellowship, and having things in freedom colonies and
Right.
association grounds, because it's an opportunity for us to go back to center and be reconnected, kind of grounded in a space where we historically have been safe, you know.
Right.
And then people form friendships and alliances and connect in a multitude of different ways, and that's one of the ways that I think healing the culture through act. Uh, so
And I've had so many, like, I've had so many people who've like approached me and been like, "Oh, well, you're not a farmer, you're too small, you have a garden," and have just kind of brushed it off as if, "Oh, you're not really doing anything." And you know how I get. You know how I get, and I done been like, "Now you need to respect how I identify, or we gonna have some problems." You know,
first of all,
first of all. But just being able to, like you say, kind of have the conversations and just kind of put it out there, and sitting on panels for South by Southwest. And I was on the panels with some guys from like, uh what was it, like the little lettuce and more, or something like that, who have these small agricultural businesses, these multi-million dollar businesses. And I'm just like, but none of this is supporting our communities. Like, none of this food flows back into the communities. And so I had saw the food tank had did a panel on why chefs need farmers, right? And so I was kind of like, okay, let me see what's going on here. And it's like each of the chefs that kind of talked about it kind of seemed like they were calling us out as farmers and ranchers to come to them so that they can use their platforms to amplify our voices. And I'm like, what? Nah, y'all must not know our struggle. We like, we are boots on the ground, real battlefield, trying to let it be known that times are changing. There's been a shift being done in agriculture and food production, and we as black farmers especially, we've been screaming. Why is it that we can't access funds? Why can't we access a way to be fully functional and operational, to where we can produce local produce, to where we can make sure that we can sustain our counties and rural communities? um what do you think, as a rancher, when it comes to working with chefs? How do you see, connecting with them and allowing them to be your voice as a rancher?
um, well, this is so I get to wear these multiple hats, right? As a rancher, but now I'm able to be in the room and at the table and have a seat with the people who are making those decisions for their school districts. So there's those folks. Also in the room at the table are the food banks. You know,
Right.
the wholesale distributors that are looking, and we're having conversations about about the funding that they're getting, where it's coming from and what it's intended for, and is it being used for that. I bring in the perspective of, you know um, for example, starting a cooperative of minority organic chicken growers,
Mhm.
and who, how we can access the value chain for those producers to have long standing contracts. Um, Also at those tables are the people who get, who work for the organizations across the state that get the big funding. So not the food banks, but for example, the food centers, like Sustainable Food Center. Um,
Right.
they do a great job. Hallie Casey, I mean, the way that she thinks about who she invites to the room, so that they can also share and get the perspective like, hey, we need to have more minorities at the table, more women, and more farmers in this meeting. Um, you said something earlier, Tiffany, about yourself, which I completely agree with. Like, you're so smart. right? And who where does this notion come from that in 2023 you can't be smart and be a successful farmer? Like, what is that?
Right.
You know, like, yes, we're out here and we look like this also.
Right.
So they get to check a number of boxes just from having one of us at the table. You see, as far as the perspective and the insights that we bring uh, from where we are.
Yeah. And that, you know how, girl, you know how I get. And I think that that's something that I think Austin, I have such a soft spot in my heart for the city of Austin because I'm from
Yeah.
here, and so my family is a part of that generation that was brought here to farm to do agriculture. My family been here for over 200 years, and so when I look at the policies and the decision making around food production and just food in general, and I see that it doesn't include people that look like me or any of the families that were initially here, it just I get frustrated, and I be ready to cuss people out. I ain't gonna lie. I be ready to be like, I know that for a fact, y'all are not sitting up here apologizing for racism and discrimination, and in the same breath saying that we haven't had the opportunity to participate in the advancement of agriculture in 200 years, and they put this kind of stuff on our city resolutions and in our city documents. And then when I go to try to participate in accessing, funding and stuff like this, I get treated, you know, in the most deplorable ways. It's just the worst. Um, it is triggering, it is a trauma zone. It is a space that I step into. And I had to step back. I had to be like, I can't deal with it because I'm gonna go off. And it makes me it's hard to produce under pressure like that because I want to produce so much for my neighbors and my family and my friends, and being faced with the red tape and not having the access to the land and stuff like that, it's just so hard. So I definitely appreciate you and what it is that you do, and actually going around from county to county, city to city, small town, and actually seeking out farmers like myself to work with and really, bring these programs to light and being like, Tiff, you gotta apply for this. I know, you know, you don't trust these people, but we gotta participate in the process. And if along the way some shit happen, I'm gonna have your back and we gonna walk through the fire together.
Right.
But we gotta get to it, we have to get to it, and we have to get this done because the mission is bigger than either one of us, and it's about the food. It's about, bringing back black agriculture, what that looks like, what that feels like, and it's the black food geography, you know and we need that in our communities. Nobody talks about it. We were talking about the farmers market and stuff like that. So it's important. It's really important.
Right. It definitely is important to have representation. I mean, I've been to a few farmers markets just doing outreach events and things in the last few months, and there's so few of us. I don't see us at the market selling anything. You know, so that's an area that really interests me. I think that we're more likely to participate in markets where we have representation. Like, we're gonna go where our people are. If our people start a market, more farmers like us are more likely to participate than not.
Right.
Um, so, and part of that is just like you said, being there to do the work with the people so that we don't have to send them somewhere else to somebody that doesn't look like us or know who they are.
Right.
You know,
Not referring them away.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I want to refer them away from the homestead. We building we building black farm communities because y'all can't sit here no more. Not
yes. We got to get them to walk right, like you said, hand to the fire. We gonna walk through this fire real.
nah, for real. But what do you have to share with my audience so that they can know if they're growers or they're getting into agriculture or just growing, where they can go to get some help and some support and stuff like that? I think I wanted we were gonna you had sent me the link. We wanted to talk about the application.
Right. For the
Let me pull it up. Yeah, let me pull it up real quick.
okay.
And I'm gonna share it. Cause I was like, y'all, just hold on. I got a special guest for y'all. Don't go nowhere. But I'm glad you were able to make it. Cause I know that you have so many things to do and you travel. You just came back from the NAACP.
Yeah, I did. I
They had,
had a booth at the NAACP State Convention a couple of weeks ago in Pflugerville. I've been really trying to go everywhere to talk about this program because it is time sensitive. There's a deadline for it, and it's like, well, the audacity, like,
right. And I know you told me you was like, you need to apply right now today.
yeah, you
Okay,
definitely.
so I think I have it up on the screen here.
It started raining. Just a moment. Let me make sure my windows are up.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I can't
Oh, go
believe
ahead.
it. Okay.
Can you see that I put up there on the screen on
I
your
can,
phone?
yes, I can see that.
So if you want to go ahead and talk about it, and I'll kind of click through it for you as you talk about it. I'm gonna mute myself and just kind of let you kind of go over it and kind of give us your perspective on what it is that we should do as growers and producers when applying for or seeking assistance with this program.
Okay. Um, well, thank you, first of all, for letting me share this with your audience. I um, am encouraging producers who have considered applying for this program to look at the application, to visit the website, and go over the eligibility criteria. Um, you may have some of your questions answered there. Go ahead and you can click on eligibility. Now, it's very important that with whatever the issue you've experienced was prior, or your loan application was prior to January 1st of 2021 to be eligible. Okay. Now, of course, this program is centered around whether or not you experience discrimination. So I like to talk to people about the fact that discrimination looks like different things, and it hits you differently. You know, our grandparents may think that discrimination is being called a racial slur. Our parents may understand that discrimination is being denied an application. Um, and so, while that is true, it also looks like other things. It looks like being turned down, being lied to about uh, them not funding any more loans or being out of money for loans. It might look like a referral to First National Bank, because at First National Bank you're not going to get an ag operating loan, or you're not going to get a lot of the benefits that come with having a USDA loan, such as down payment assistance or not having to pay a down payment, um, and other things. So lending at the USDA that's covered by this program, if you considered applying for a farm ownership loan to buy property or equipment using an operating loan, or their micro loan, which is a $50,000 line. So some of the examples that I'll give of that is I had a gentleman who had worked 30 plus years for a power company, and he had all sorts of benefits and retirement, 401k, and you name it. And he applied for a farm ownership loan to purchase 50 or 100 acres in East Texas. And instead of approving him for the farm ownership loan with that larger amount, the farm loan officer said that he was not comfortable loaning him that large sum of money. So instead, he approved him for a micro loan of $50,000. That's not what he was there for.
Right.
And
Right.
he had done all these things to make sure he was a prime candidate for a loan. He's like, I checked my credit. I had good credit, never had any issues getting credit elsewhere. And so just using that as an example, but it could be any of those other types of loans. Also, what's covered by the program are the guaranteed loans that you may have had with a third party bank. For example, like a Capital Farm Credit or a Lone Star Ag Credit. They have loans that are guaranteed by the USDA. And if you have one of those loans, you're eligible for this program also. Okay. There's all sorts of discrimination there. The ways that you could be discriminated against. And I've had people check multiple boxes, being discriminated on the basis of your race, your color, and or your sex. Especially, those are probably the top three that I've seen. I have had a few reprisal retaliation for people who had participated in prior lawsuits and still been experiencing discrimination prior to 2021.
And see, this is where I look at this and I'm kind of like, I totally went to the FSA and she put me out. She, just, I didn't even get to, I was just filling out the paperwork and then she left it there on the desk. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that on our next conversation because, there was a failure to provide appropriate assistance. The very first one.
Bam. Bam. That makes that easy.
Right.
But loss factors, some folks have actually had equipment foreclosed on or their homes foreclosed on. So we definitely want to find those people and hear their story so that we can help them complete this application.
Right. And then these are all the documents.
Yeah.
We
And
need.
very important to know that this is not a lawsuit. It's not a grant. The money does not have to be repaid in any way, but it is taxable. Okay, the maximum funding amount anyone can receive is $500,000. So if you have multiple instances of discrimination, like some of us do, there are pages in the application. If you're doing a written application, you'll just make copies so that you can submit multiple instances. And each one of those instances, my understanding, will be considered for compensation. Also, Tiff, what's important, I know there's like a lot of people have questions about like, well, how do we know if this is like a scam or not? How do we know if you're the real deal? On the bread and butter parts of the application, on the right margins, most of those pages have they have boxes over there where they're looking and requesting supplemental information. So if you provide information that says you owned a property in 1973 and you were operating a livestock operation there with cattle and chickens and hay, they're going to be looking to provide supplemental documents to show that via a deed or a property tax statement, or if you were leasing at the time, you can provide a copy of that old lease, um, tax documents, things, anything to show that you were actually operating and had production where you said you did at the time.
Okay.
Okay. So each page is looking for, again, something that corresponds to the information you provided.
Okay. I'm sitting here setting up my account.
All right.
Because we have to apply, right?
That's right. That's right. Because you know what happens if we don't show up and apply. Also, the programs that we're eligible for, then they look at that. There's a lack of participation in people who applied for this program in Texas, for example.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can, I'm gonna see if I can log in real quick so we can kind of maybe look at what it looks like, see what
Okay.
the application looks like.
Right. And
Uh,
I send you that also.
it's sending me a one-time code. I wonder if they sent it to my email. It says I need a one-time code. Let's see if they sent it to my email. What? And I was oh no. See, I be having too many different ways to need to log in. Google Authenticator or similar. Here we go. Let me see. Oh, see, it's asking me for a two-step verification. I didn't sign that up. And they haven't sent it to me. I have to try to set it up.
Okay, might take some time. So.
Yeah.
For that program will start going out after the first of the year, January-ish. Um, I'm offering and doing free technical assistance weekdays, generally on Wednesdays, but whenever people have time, like I'll set up a time and we'll do um, page by page on that application. So what would be awesome is if we could get a group of people, if folks want to respond to you directly, Tiff, with their
Yeah.
interests, and then we
Yep.
can circle back, regardless of where they are, we can circle back and get scheduled to do like a one-on-one group walkthrough with that application.
Right. That'll work. I appreciate it. Thank you, Deydra, for coming and hanging out with me. And if you ever want to come and just vent, this platform over here, this is where you can come and vent and talk about it and definitely share the resources because you are a trove of gems and jewels. I absolutely love you.
So,
And we gonna get Gil to get on the right path. Now,
yeah,
he doing his thing right now, but we gonna get him to double back to those grow houses he got out there. He need to send those to Texas. I need to put one or two. I need a couple of them poly greenhouses out here.
there we go. There we go. Let's talk about
But Yep, for real. But
All
I'll
right.
let you go, girl, and I'm gonna check in with you and we'll set up some more time to bring the people some more information. But definitely thank you for coming and spending time with me this afternoon on a Friday.
Yay. Thanks for having me so much. It's always so
You're
much fun
welcome.
with you.
It
All
was a good time.
right.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. Peace, y'all.
Later. See y'all. See? Y'all see what I'm talking about? We don't ever want to let it be mistaken as if here in our urban farm space and our agricultural space, we weren't bringing um, our best. And so when it comes to Kwame Brown's Biz or Bust recap, you know, it was a missed opportunity. I think that he does most definitely have to be held accountable because we're out here fighting for real things. We're out here doing the best that we can to access funding. And we don't deserve to be collateral damage. We don't need to be or have to be collateral damage to, performance advocacy or just the whims of people in positions of celebrity. We don't care what it is that he say. He throws out there, I was a number one NBA draft pick, and can't nobody call him a bust. How dare they call him that? Because no matter what, his mama raised a number one NBA draft pick. Well, my mama raised a farmer. You understand that? And so we out here growing food because if farmers don't grow, NBA players can't eat. Point blank, period. You niggas gonna starve to death. Period. So it is your girl, Nancy Farm Fancy, Farmer Nancy. Y'all go back and catch this live on the replay. Share my shit. Subscribe to the channel. Our Candid Conversations, the Trauma Zone. We'll be able to subscribe to my other channel. I'll put that in the description. Hit that like button, share, 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 subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. We're talking about biz or bust. Are we going to be that business that continues to push forward and make it out the mud, grow, 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 and bring in other people who say, we see your value, we see your worth, or are we gonna be busted and disgusted? It's your girl Farmer Nancy on Biz or Bust Fridays, recapping Kwame Brown's Biz or Bust. I appreciate you guys. It's all about accountability. See y'all next time. Peace out.